share it when it comes up here.
We should be live.
Here we go. Yep. We are live. Post. All right, we're good to go.
Okay, I got it.
When you see him posting things on social media where he lost that fight, but he's still coming back and almost talking trash about that fight, saying you were backing up, you shot in the first 30 seconds. Like, what is your reaction to that?
He just said something on his first one. He shoots a dusty. Is what he said. Yeah. Isn't he the one who's always preaching about the flow, the full martial arts, no holds barred, no rules, the ultimate fighting? Like when he's talking about boxing and stuff, right? How about the first one to get taken down is a dusty? This is mixed martial arts. Put it all together. It reeks of insecurity to me.
Shots fired.
Big time.
Shots
Big
fired.
time. I wish we had the gunshots.
There's no way to start off a podcast better than saying it's fight week, and we only got like 2 or 3 more days, or 2 or 3 more sleeps until the fight. But man, what do you think about that clip?
There's more came out today. I mean, there was more out today about Conor just saying I've only lost one fight. It's just KOs. So the sport is MMA. It's like he said, it's insecurity to me. It's kind of like,
it sounds like to me.
That's not even trying to convince yourself. Like that's not shit talking, bro. It's MMA. Like you're not going to get anybody to just stand with you because, first one to shoot's a dusty bitch. No, that's not the way it works. But we're going to get into more of that later when we break down the fight.
Yeah, man, I like what Dustin Poirier has been bringing to the table in terms of trying to build this fight up. The trilogy. It's the 3rd time him and Conor have fought, and he had a decisive victory last fight, so he should be confident. And I think this is the most confident I've seen Dustin Poirier in a long time. So yeah, definitely looking forward to breaking down that fight. And look, we got Justin in the building.
What up, Just?
What's up? I'll be on for the MMA, then I have to go back. But
alrighty, well, that's the most important part tonight,
bro. We understand. Yeah, it's one of the bigger pay-per-views of the year. So let's get into a little bit of UFC. Quick take, some news before we hit that stuff. Something that pissed off a lot of the hardcore MMA fans. First take will be behind the desk for this big MMA pay-per-view. We know Stephen A. Smith has beef with the MMA Twitter and just MMA fans in general with his harsh critiques over Cowboy Cerrone the last time McGregor and Cerrone fought. So what do you all think? Were you all disturbed by it? Did it piss you all off? How do y'all feel about it?
I'm not so much like against Stephen A. being in MMA like as much as everybody else is. And, Max Kellerman does have, I guess, some boxing acumen. He's known as having his own show like on HBO for a while as being a really big boxing guy. So I'm not so much against it. I'm just interested as to how it's going to work. And I think it's kind of a nice little change, at least from my perspective, because like I've kind of grown a little bit tired of Joe Rogan and like Dominic Cruz and all the same guys calling each fight. I like DC. I hope they keep him on the card. But I understand they're trying to switch things up as the company gets bigger. And people know Stephen A. So.
Right, and DC is still going to be on the call. DC, Joe Rogan, and John Anik. So this is just the desk work in between. You know how they usually have a fighter and what's the Justin? You probably know the MMA. Who's the lady
play-by-play guy?
And the lady who hosts UFC tonight, I forget her name.
They'll be upstairs, like in the higher arena area, not where the fight's at.
Yeah. So this time it'll be Stephen A. Kellerman and is Molly doing it as well, or is it just?
It's just them
Stephen A.
two.
and Kellerman.
Okay. Yeah. So I really wasn't too bothered by it either. I mean, figure it's one of the bigger fights. Conor. That's when they seem to bring Stephen A. out, who was pretty much the face of day-to-day ESPN. Yeah, he's the biggest name. So I'm for it. We'll see if any new beefs come of it, but I'm sure he'll be on his best behavior because he couldn't have liked everything that came with what he said last time, even though it's deemed to be kind of true. A lot of people after the fact did say, like, Cowboy kind of quit after that shoulder strike to his nose. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing, all UFC signing a sponsorship deal with Crypto.com. So the sponsorship is for the fight kits. I guess it's going to be a new sponsor on the kits.
It's on the shorts.
Pretty clean. The kit looks pretty clean, and the shirt too.
Okay, yeah, you did post the link here for the image.
It looks like a soccer kit.
$176 million deal.
Yeah, I think
the fighters will see nothing of.
Yeah, I think that was the key there at the end of the article. It brings up the fighters won't see anything from this deal, but they do have the opportunity to wager their own individual sponsorships with Crypto.com. That is available to them, but I do think the telling thing is the fighters don't get any money. I don't think it's a surprise though that the fighters won't be getting any money, but I think it's just the UFC is trying to supplement the loss of money this past year with COVID. They didn't have a live gate for the majority of all of these fights. They haven't really had a live gate. So unless the last couple of Abu Dhabi fights, but still they lost a lot of money last year because of COVID. So there's a nice little injection in there for them. The
last time Conor and Poirier fought, there was no fans. So, but this is also, on the other side of the bridge, it's a pretty bad look. Yeah, the company does have to receive money, but it's already a sport and a company that gets, has kind of like eagle eye on them over, fighter pay and the mistreatment of the fighters. And here comes $176 million sponsorship that the fighters are going to be wearing on them. You know what I mean?
I wonder what
Jake Paul thinks about this. And they're going to see none of it. That's a pretty bad look for the UFC.
I agree. I wonder what Jake Paul thinks. He's been pretty vocal.
Justin, what do you think about Crypto.com? You're probably a subscriber. You're a user on there, aren't you?
No, not on that website. But yeah, I don't agree with this. I mean, they already took away these fighter sponsorships the first time. Now they're forcing them to wear a sponsorship that they may not even receive any money from. At least with the Reebok deal and the Venom, they're receiving some sort of kickback. In this situation, they're sponsoring and they're repping something that maybe they're not down for and not even seeing a dime off of it. It's just not a good thing. And you got to think about who's going to sign these guys individually. It's going to be just the top dogs. Like the guys at the bottom, outside the top 10 in each division, they're probably not going to see an individual Crypto.com deal.
Right.
So it's only going to be the main guys.
Just think about it like this. It's just a true, and the other thing is it should at the end of the day go to the fighter's bottom line because it is adding to the UFC's revenue. So at the end of the day, I'm sure the fighters' pay will grow. I don't know if it's directly because of this deal, but it's just a true, at the end of the day, it's a true sponsorship deal. It's like the NFL signing on with Bud Light to have Bud Light on the sidelines or something, or like FIFA signing on with TikTok to have TikTok showing on their sidelines at the end of the day or throughout the game. So they're just paying for some advertisement. They're going to have some Octagon advertisement also. So yeah, it's just a true sponsorship deal. It is, like you guys have pointed out, it's a bad look. But I think the UFC is trying to get some money.
At some point, these fighters got to unionize in some way.
Like
the
Alex
NBA has one, the NFL has one. Because if not, they're going to be shortchanged all their lives.
It'll be enough, Alex, when the fighters decide to unionize. And there has been some fighters shunned from the organization for wanting to unionize. But until the fighters themselves decide to unionize, that's when it'll be enough. We can, complain and bitch about it all we want because, trust me, we all do. Everybody wants them to get paid more. But until they themselves, take that stand, that it is going to cost them some money taking that stand.
They should allow the fighters to bring back like the flag sponsors, when they had the flags over them, banners, like when they're standing the banners there when they're in their corners, and then they should allow them to put a little something on the shorts to at least get some of that real estate. I agree there, and we need to get that fight that Jesse's trying to wager.
This summer,
we need to get that going.
The same day that I go through those tables, we'll get Jesse and Alex as the main event after that.
Will that ever happen though? Because you still owe us the shots that you never did.
It's gonna happen, and I will take some shots. I can take some shots today before this stream ends. I'll take those shots.
It has to be when I'm on. Everyone has to be on for that.
Well, you're on, Justin. You're just inviting me to the party. But let's move on from Crypto.com to Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, who is on the card this weekend, was asked on Media Day about him and Derek Lewis's beef. Derek Lewis did have some harsh words for Greg Hardy over some accusations Obviously, he didn't do any time, but he did have those harsh accusations that pretty much blackballed him out of the NFL, and now he's here in MMA. So Derek Lewis said he wouldn't mind getting his hands on him, and beating him up for doing whatever he might have done.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. So now Greg Hardy has fired back and said, Derek Lewis is kind of at the top, poking down, knowing that he's like gonna sun me pretty much. Derek Lewis is the vet here. He's the one fighting for the interim title here next month. Greg Hardy's a guy trying to make his way, making waves because of his name, but he has been in some tough fights. They haven't all gone his way as of recent. He had a hot start, but now he's kind of grinding day-to-day MMA. We know that he trains at American Top Team, so he has been committed to the sport. He wasn't trying to one-off it. I'll say it seems like it's kind of going to become a big part of his life. He's going to do this pretty much.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
As long as the UFC will take him. Now we know that. But he had some harsh words for Derek Lewis. He said, "You're an ex-con," and he said for him to shut his fat Popeye's greasy ass up. We know Derek Lewis has a sponsorship with Popeyes. So
and then he's like, he's the better man, but he's the better man right now. He's admitting that Derek Lewis is probably a better fighter than him, and then he's like, but he's still a fatty. That was funny to hear Greg Hardy talk, and he was getting his case out there. I'm not trying to talk about his legal case, but he was talking and making his point as to why he was, offended by Derek Lewis. It was kind of out of the blue, if you think about it, Derek Lewis calling Greg Hardy out the way that he did. But at the time, it was a big deal in MMA and UFC that Greg Hardy was in the UFC. So I understand that it's maybe not so much out of left field, but to Greg Hardy, he probably thought he was catching a stray, or at least that's how he feels by those comments. But I guess I was putting it up here for us to talk about because I wanted to pose it do you think this is a fight that we'll ever see happen in the future?
Justin, what do you think?
Maybe not next month or whatever.
Right. But down the line,
knocks out Tai Tuivasa this week, and then maybe one or two more. Then you got some rumblings now. But that's what it would take. They're not in each other's lane at the moment, so it wouldn't happen. But I would like to see it regardless, because both guys got power. Yeah, I like that Derek Lewis attitude. Like anybody can get it. No one's safe.
And that's the thing. It's maybe for Greg Hardy, it seemed like catching a stray. But if everybody knows one thing about Derek Lewis is he's gonna say what he feels, and it doesn't matter to who. He's gonna let you know about it. Do I think that they will fight? Maybe down the line, because the heavyweight division has always been so slim for talent.
Yeah, that's true.
So it just takes Lewis losing one or two fights and then Hardy winning one or two, and them just matching up and maybe like a 6-10 matchup. Because Greg Hardy wins two fights, they're going to throw his ass into the rankings right away. And then in the heavyweight division, you do have to fight backwards sometimes. So it is a fight that could happen maybe in 3 years from now, but not in the near future for me. I do like Greg Hardy kind of standing his ground and, giving his side of it and admitting, he is better than me. He is, but
he's still a fatty.
He has some dirt on him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Derek Lewis came into the UFC straight out of the pinta.
And I like Derek Lewis's response. He commented on some post on Instagram saying he's like, it's Popeyes, and he's like, and I'm not. I'm not fat. I'm husky. He's like I'm thick. So Derek Lewis knows how to have fun with it and talk shit he's back and forth. I mean, he's good with it. So hopefully we see this matchup down the line, but hopefully it's after Greg Hardy's accumulated some victories and it's like a ranked matchup or something where it makes sense for both fighters. But
we're gonna talk about him in the breakdown a little later. See if he can get past Tai Tuivasa. But let's go over to the next topic. Sean O'Malley, Alex Rodriguez's favorite fighter. This is like Alex Rodriguez's Takashi right here.
That's his guy. That's who he stands by.
That's his guy. That's his boy. He'll stand by him. So Sean O'Malley defends his matchup. Sean O'Malley's fighting a UFC newcomer. I believe the guy's 3-3 his last 6 fights. He is on a 2-fight win streak, but he's making his debut And we're gonna go over that matchup briefly later because it shouldn't be too big of a matchup. But we did see names like Davalashvili, the Georgian, throw his name in there. We saw Ricky Simone throw his name in there. We saw Cody Stamen, although he was wanting it to be 10 pounds heavier than what this one was. And it's like, Cody Stamen, for you, nobody's moving up.
Yeah, no one's making that matchup. That's not a
chill.
dream matchup.
All right, get your clout, get your
super fight.
Get your 60 likes and get the fuck out of here, Cody Stamen. But there was better matchups out there for Sean O'Malley, and he gets a UFC newcomer here in this fight, and he defends it. He says, "Hey, this guy's tough." And listen, to be in the UFC, you got to be tough, but not everybody's UFC caliber. We talked about it briefly about them spoon feeding O'Malley throughout his career, and him not having very tough fights. But what side are y'all on? Are y'all on O'Malley's side to where maybe they just couldn't get him a reasonable opponent, and so this is what had to happen, or is there no excuse for this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what had to happen. I don't know too much about his prior opponent, the one that checked out with staph infection that created this inconvenience.
Louis Smolka.
But I don't even. I mean, for the way that they're trying to build up O'Malley, I still don't think that's Louis Smolka is like that great of a matchup for him. Like in terms of trying to like make him into a legit contender. Like I don't know. Am I speaking out of turn? How high up in the rankings is Smolka? Because that's what I'm trying to get at.
As a kind of a gatekeeper fight, to put him in.
Okay, well then that would have been.
Fight was another spoon feeding.
Okay, well that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. He was already being spoon fed to begin with, but in this situation, it was a lose-lose for O'Malley because he was already being spoon fed, and then he's given a list of guys with like 10 days out, and he says that Simone wasn't able to make weight, and that was his first choice. Right. So kind of a bad situation for him, but I will say he can not rectify it, but just knock him out like in stunning fashion. Say what you're going to do, because I mean that's what he always says. He's going to knock people out. So if he actually goes out and does that, then it's okay. It's whatever.
Yeah. But, and he's got to go Bambino and call his shot. Justin, I know you're an O'Malley fan as well.
No, I'm not.
You're a big O'Malley fan. So are you capping for him or no? If you're
I'm not an O'Malley fan. He turned me off the way he reacted with Chito Vera acting undefeated still. That was a big turn off. Up until then, all of us were. We saw the Tuesday night contender. We were all big on the kid. But that action was repugnant. I didn't like it. But I'm going to give him some cap here, some room. I think he's correct in what he said. A lot of people threw their name in but didn't sign nothing. So I'm going to just give him that at least. I don't like that it's going to be this guy. The lines are terrible. You can't even bet the kid. It's like minus 1,000 on most books, minus 800 if you can get it. But there's nothing here. It's going to be a wash. One round. That's it. It's over.
Yeah. And in the comments, Roland says Smolka was horrible as well. Roland Gonzalez and Smolka, it was another spoon feeding. It was just to have him on the same card as Conor McGregor on the pay-per-view. He's going to be the curtain jerker for the pay-per-view portion. First fight you see when the pay-per-view starts. And he's going to get a highlight reel KO on a Conor McGregor card, who's going to have 1 million pay-per-view buys, and they're just trying to build him up like that. But until they give him a real opponent, like when he had to fight Chito Vera and he broke really quickly, we're not going to see anything from him, man. So I can't defend this. I understand that it was short notice, but shit, we've seen Conor McGregor fight Nate Diaz on 7 days short notice at 170, bro. So if you want to be making the big bucks and you want to make the name for yourself, you got to put your... You got to put it on the table sometimes.
That and how long do you stay in this phase that he's been in? I feel like he's been in the same stage of his career for the past 2 to 3 years. Maybe the injury kind of slowed that down, but I've like we're saying he's been spoon fed. But at some point, the spoon feeding does stop because you get ranked so high that you got to fight. You got to fight the guys. It just happens because you're there at the top. But to me, it just seems like he hasn't moved up to that next step because, like you guys just brought up, the first real test that he broke, and that was against Chito. So,
we'll get into the matchup briefly when we go over because there's not much to go over. But the last topic before we get into the pay-per-view fights, the return of Nick Diaz. I know there's some Nick Diaz army in the comments section. for sure. I know most of this podcast is Nick Diaz Army. Are you all believing it? So the rumor is a September return at UFC 266 against Robbie Lawler. Nick Diaz against Robbie Lawler 2. What do y'all think? Are we finally going to get the Nick Diaz fight that we've been waiting for?
I think it's going to happen. I think the fight makes sense going up against Robbie Lawler. Lawler's a guy who's been off for a little while, coming off some losses. A good matchup. He's a known name, another guy with a rabid fan base. A lot of guys roll with Robbie Lawler, ruthless down to the end. So I think it's a good matchup. And Nick Diaz, we've seen him more and more, I guess, in social media and on Instagram, doing different things, staying in shape. He's a marathon man, always top-notch cardio. He's one of those guys like Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz says, MMA is like a lifestyle. He lives it, so he's always ready to go. I like this as a comeback fight, but I'm not sold on him being back as like a regular attraction. I think he'll come back in one-off situations like this. I don't think he's going to be a major player in the future.
Justin, is this a perfect fight setup for Nick Diaz return? Is this a way to smoothen him in before maybe a bigger fight?
He already fought, right?
Yeah, this is 2. I was going to ask you. So the first fight was maybe in WEC?
No, it was UFC 47 the first time.
Oh, okay. So it was UFC.
I think it's going to go. It's going to be the
same. Robbie Lawler won the first.
No, Nick Diaz won. He hit him with a body punch. Yep, knocked him out.
Okay.
I'm real sure on that one.
Well, and this is Nick Diaz after being out for maybe a decade now, his return, or how long has he been out? It's been about a decade, no? 10 years?
No.
His last fight against Anderson Silva, right?
That was 2015, so 6 years.
6 years, okay. And I like you, I favor Nick Diaz. I think when the line comes out, Nick Diaz would be a favorite in that fight. Robbie Lawler has had some tough fights lately.
So do you think Nick Diaz will be back for good?
I think that if he beats Robbie Lawler, I could see him in Masvidal at the end of the year or early next year.
Here's the other thing I want to ask you guys. We know what kind of draw Nate Diaz has become. Does Nick Diaz have the same drawing power that Nate has?
It's got to, bro. I
think he might have more.
Suspension of not seeing him in 6 years.
He might have more. He might have more. Yeah, because you even see how much Nate bigs him up. It's like Nate wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Nick. So I think Nick does have, and it's Diaz brothers. It's not necessarily just one of the Diaz.
Yeah, Nate Diaz still says Nick Diaz Army, so.
Exactly.
He does.
It's never been Nate Diaz Army, and that's because Nate's been the one in the spotlight, for the last 5 years since that McGregor fight. So I think that it would do huge numbers. I think it would sell a million pay-per-views. And that's because he wouldn't even be the main event, bro. You're still gonna have a title fight headlining that fight.
Yeah.
You're saying that he's going to do 1 million with this fight against Lawler, or you're saying his next fight after this?
No, I think with this one it'll do it. You don't think everybody wants to see the return of Nick Diaz? Everybody wants to.
Yeah, I guess I need to see it.
There's going to be a title fight on top of it.
I need to see what this. Do you know what Nate Diaz just did against
Leon Edwards?
What's his name? Rocky against Leon Edwards. Do you know what those numbers were? Because I just want to compare it and just see kind of what we're looking at. But
don't have them, but we can look.
1 million seems feasible because Masvidal did like 1.5 when he did that 6-day notice against Usman, it was pretty high up there. So yeah, I can see him getting to 1 million with that in perspective.
Hey, they're my primos. I gotta say they're gonna do
600,000.
600.
The Nate
UFC 263 did 600,000 buys.
Who was the headliner on that one?
Vittori and Adesanya.
There you go.
Not really that.
Yeah, but Nick Diaz is well known in the States, like more so than Adesanya is right now. I think Adesanya is he's a no name, but I think everybody who watches UFC knows who Nick Diaz is. I don't know.
I don't know if Adesanya's a no name, but I don't think he's a number.
I'm not saying he's a no name, but he's not that much of a needle mover. Yeah,
okay, maybe not household. I can say that. Not the way that everyone knows McGregor, Diaz.
Because, bro, even then, some casual fans are going to think it's Nate Diaz fighting and still get it just because they think it's Nate, bro. Yeah, and maybe. It's going to be Nick. I'm telling you, there's still going to be a top fight on that one. I don't know who's up like with the scheduling of the champs, but I think it's going to do 1 million pay-per-view buys, that card.
All right.
We got something to look forward to. Another.
We'll make a bet on that.
And Justin holds me accountable. Damn it! So
maybe you can just hold off your shots until then and just go double or nothing.
You don't think, Roland, that there's a chance?
I mean, it depends. It depends what they pair it with, because I think
that's the key.
Just that fight alone right there will probably bring an extra. I know, but what I'm saying is it'll probably itself, like Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler, as a standalone fight. Like you're making people pay to buy that fight.
At least 500.
It's probably the best fight on the card. They would probably do maybe 500. Just trying to see Nick Diaz and whatever they paired else with, but they need another big name to get to 1 million.
And you know what though, it could be on like, let's say,
maybe it's a Derek Lewis and Gone.
That's in August.
Oh, okay, August. Never mind. I thought
that's in August. I was thinking Aljamain Sterling, but it also could be Volkanovski and
Ortega.
The dude who just coached, and Ortega. They might be the headliner for that. For that card.
And we got some more MMA news before you get onto the fights.
Okay, what's that?
Big news came in yesterday. CM Punk's loss was taken off his record.
Oh,
the other dude had tested positive for marijuana. 2 years later, they overturned it.
Yeah, Jackson, right? I forget his first name,
but
I think it's Michael or something like that.
Didn't they just came out and said that weed is no longer going to be tested for by NAC?
And John Anik said, "Hey, Nico Price, I'm in room 333."
That's funny.
Like, bring your blunts this way. Oh, that's funny. Hey, but in the comment section, we got a lot of people saying the Diaz brothers sell fights.
They do.
All these people better buy the fight and not pirate it then.
Hey, well, you better buy it that week, Justin, because if you're gonna pirate it that week just to try and win your bet,
that's
and
what
they
I'm
only
do.
sell 900,
we're going to be sending links to everybody.
We're sending Dana after you. I hope Dana's watching this right now. But Ben, and before Ben takes us through the UFC 264 and like breaks everything down for us, we have a little promo. We have a little promo to run. So this next section is going to be brought to you guys by BetKing. BetKing's an online sports book. They're all over Twitter. We're always constantly retweeting them. They're running a little deposit bonus this weekend for the big fight, and they're going to be running a little contest with us. So normally they have a 50% deposit bonus, but this weekend, when you use the code WTBS, when you message them for your deposit, you're going to get 100% bonus. So if you deposit $100, they're going to put $100 in into your balance with that deposit. There is a little rollover clause, so they will break that down for you when you message them. But BetKing is really easy to use, easy deposit, easy withdrawal. So yeah, go ahead and message them. They're on BetKing Online on Twitter. And use promo code WTBS when you're making your deposit this weekend, and you'll get a free, you'll get 100% bonus on that. So
hey, if y'all think you got an edge on somebody winning in the fights this weekend, everybody's gonna be watching the fights this weekend. If you want to try and make a little lunch money, maybe a little more, put some plays in.
And so
if you need help getting to BetKing, message any one of us and we'll direct you that way.
And also with BetKing, and this is going to coincide with the next section, there is going to be a $200 contest that they're running for people that have active accounts with balances in them. So if you can guess the next 5 winners of these fights on the main card, if you can guess the winners on the main card plus the method of victory for the main event, you will win $200. So go ahead and get on that. If you don't have an account now, go ahead and get one. If you already have an account, make sure to send in your bet or your play on Facebook or Twitter. You can hit us up on Facebook and put it here, and we'll make sure it gets there. But go ahead and get that in on Twitter for sure, on BetKing Online.
Hey, Roland, and that's 200 free play as long as they pick all 5 winners on the pay-per-view portion.
200 free play, yeah.
And just give the method of victory for the main event. So Poirier by decision, Poirier by knockout, Poirier by submission, or Connor by knockout, because that's the only damn way he can
But
win.
in order to get
there's
into
a
the
little tip for all of you already.
contest, in order to get into the contest, you have to have an account and you have to have a balance. So just make sure to go ahead and do that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
So
cool.
sign up using our promo code 100%, and then you get to play in that contest for free.
Let's get into the card then, man. Where do y'all want us to start from? Y'all want us to start from the top? We start from the McGregor fight, or down from the O'Malley
Card and
fight
jerker.
and work our way up down from O'Malley? Well, we went over it a bit, but we got Sugar Sean O'Malley against Chinga.
Chris Moutinho.
I didn't want to butcher the last name. I was trying to like do it in my head, but I couldn't get there. So yeah, man, like we talked about, O'Malley getting spoon-fed this UFC newcomer. Now he's saying the kid is legit. I fully expect O'Malley to come out here and get some sort of highlight reel, one punch, kind of walk-off KO. That's what he has to do. That would be the only way to not get any blowback after this. Now, he did kind of say, this guy could make his name off of this fight, which he very well could. But, I mean, the odds are minus 900 for a reason. So do you all see it going any other way?
Nope, I don't. I just want to see him knock him out. I don't want anything else but a knockout. Like, no decision. He better not struggle by getting taken down to the ground or anything like that. He needs to just knock the guy out, or else, I really don't like Sean O'Malley. I think he's a good character. That's honestly what he's playing into. He's talked about how he's influenced by Conor McGregor, that he doesn't take everything from him, but he is influenced by him, and he's trying to play a character because he's trying to sell fights, and he is a name and a brand and stuff. So you need victories, and you need flashy victories, especially against guys making their debut. So that's where I stand.
Justin, how does he get it done?
There's nothing to say other than I think it's going to be a first round cakewalk for O'Malley. I don't think he's going to take it into the second. It's just going to be one and done.
The guy he's fighting, his last fight, he's coming in. This is how he's getting his UFC call up. He beat camarada named Andrew Ice Cold Salas. That's got to be one of the better nicknames, and his record is Ice Cold, fam. 6-6. 33-year-old 6-6 is who Chris Moutinho beat.
He's still got a future. He's an up-and-comer. He's a prospect.
They say you don't hit your prime until you're 34 in MMA.
He's still a prospect. He's still a prospect.
Camarada still got shit to look forward to. But man, if O'Malley doesn't make top 10 with this one, it's going to be a letdown. I'll tell you that. The next fight that we're going over, we got.
Aldana.
I know, Justin. I just was gonna skip it, but you told everybody who it was gonna be. I don't take much pleasure in watching these fights, but Arina Aldana against Yana Kunitskaya in a women's bantamweight battle. The line on this one is actually pretty close. I do have it here. Kunitskaya is plus 105, and the comeback on Jan, was it right?
Aldana
minus 120. So I expect it to be just a kickboxing fight, just like chicks yelling with every punch and kick that they throw to make it seem like there is damage being done. But not much is going to be happening. Give me the underdog in a point fight.
Yeah, I'll take the underdog here too. Aldana is probably the best person that Yanya's fought up to date, but Aldana, she really hasn't fared too well against stiff competition. She's kind of beaten who she's supposed to, but when she's fought somebody who's around her level or better, she really hasn't done too well. So if this fight takes place close to how it's lined, it's so close, I will take the underdog here. So give me Yana Kunitskaya. I'll take her.
Give me Irene Aldana just because they have a similar opponent in Caitlin Vieira, and Aldana did better against her than Foxy did. So I'm going to go with Irene Aldana.
All right. Next fight, we'll get into the heavyweight division. This should be a good one, man. Tai Tuivasa against Greg Hardy. This was one that we talked about, a little bit with the Greg Hardy talk in the beginning. Tai Tuivasa, minus 135 favorite. The comeback on Hardy, plus 105. Over-unders 1.5 rounds. for these heavyweight fights. You know, sometimes with the heavyweights, it just takes one shot, so you tend to lean under. But both of these guys seem kind of durable. This fight, where do y'all see this fight taking place for the most part? Tai Tuivasa, stand up, right? Tai Tuivasa has 2 takedowns, and it was in his UFC debut. And Greg Hardy has no takedowns to his name. So stand-up kickboxing fight. Greg Hardy's the new guy to MMA. Tai Tuivasa, we know that he's under the tutelage of like Mark Hunt. Now he's training at AKA with Khabib, Daniel Cormier, and all those guys. So you know he's got to be getting some wrestling reps in. I think that this is a fight where his veteranship and Tai Tuivasa's octagon time can get him a win here. And at minus 135, it's a pretty good price. I like Tai Tuivasa in this one.
Who do you got here, Justin?
I'm going to go Tai Tuivasa the same, just because I think they both have KO power in their hands. But if Tai Tuivasa can get this past that initial first round, you've seen Greg Hardy gas out completely. Yeah. Use the inhaler at one point even.
Use the inhaler.
So that's out of the picture for him. Give me Tai Tuivasa. I think the power is equal. And I just think his, as you said, ring experience will make the difference here.
I'm going to go ahead and take Greg Hardy here. I think he's going to get him out early.
He was a cowboy once, so Rollins got to.
I think he's gonna get. Hey, he played decent while he was there, while he was on the field. But anyways, he did, or I'm not saying he did. He is going to get him out of there in the first round. I think Tai Tuivasa, he's going to want to get entangled in a firefight, because it's whether or not you can. Like we always talk about, like the mental game. Can you just get away from getting in a firefight with him? And sometimes you can't get yourself out of it if it comes at you. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Greg Hardy's going to force the issue and get into a firefight, and he's going to get caught. So that's where I'm going with that. But I think Ben brings up a good point with it being a short line and Tuivasa having the ring experience or the octagon experience, because past that first round, all bets are off on Greg Hardy.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna be sweating.
And for Wally says TKO under 1.5. Both guys can crack, but both guys have taken a punch. So I think Wally might be leaning a little bit more towards Greg Hardy winning. If you like the under, I think it's because Greg Hardy's going to have to get him out of there.
Yeah, I think Greg Hardy gets it done.
I'm predicting shoeys after Tai Tuivasa.
He's got his.
Oh, that's happening.
Hardy's got his eyes on Derek Lewis, man. He's ready for that championship belt.
Kayla Wally, Alex taking shots in the comments, cause hey, Saturday night Wally ain't gonna be texting me. Yo, what's good for this next fight? He's listening now. Wally, I love it. Wally, I love it. Let's get co-main. We're at the co-main event already.
The co-main event.
Yeah. And this one I feel really strongly about. And
Wonderboy.
So does the line, obviously, because it's moved. We got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson against Gilbert Durino Burns. Thompson's coming in as a favorite. Opened up minus 155. Now it's showing minus 170. The comeback on Burns plus 135. Justin, I'm gonna kick it to you first on this one, bro.
We'll just talk path to victory first. Obviously, for Durino, it's going to be getting him to the floor, because you don't want to stand up with Wonderboy with what he brings, fighting on the outside. I think Wonderboy should be the favorite. I think Durino just got broken a little bit after that Usman fight. He doesn't really seem the same. Again, I'm just taking from what I see on the embeddeds. It just doesn't seem like he's that guy, that hunger anymore. He's just kind of happy he's here. He's talking about being excited because he's on the Conor co-main, and this is the first time he's going to be with fans in a long time. And he's not really talking about, this is my game plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm trying to get back to the top. He's not talking like that. So give me Stephen Wonderboy on this one.
And he's fighting a guy who very well may get a title shot if he beats Burns in decisive fashion.
He's the only guy in the top 5 or whatever that hasn't seen Usman.
2-fight win streak.
Yeah, and Justin, just to go off of that, like you're not seeing it from him. He said, "Hey guys, that's it. I'm in camp. My wife took over my social media." He said that shit on the embedded. Bro, shut up. No one wants to hear that. Roland, who you got?
I got Stephen Thompson here. He's the longer fighter. I think he's going to control the fight with his length. And Justin brought up a good point. I do think Gilbert Burns is a little broken right now. He had his glorious run to the top he got there all the way up to that Usman fight. He had a nice run getting there. He took out what's his name, Tyron Woodley in very convincing fashion. Almost did the same thing that Woodley did to him, and then went ahead and he almost took Woodley out. It looked like he had him for a little bit, but after that, we all know what happened. The champ took over. But yeah, I'm going with Stephen Thompson here. He's on a nice 2-fight win streak against some guys that have some pretty high hopes in the UFC, like Vicente Luque and Jeff Neal. So I'm going to go Stephen Thompson here. And
Burns as well, Vicente Luque.
I'm going to go Stephen Thompson, and I would bet him straight at 170 because I'm that convinced that he's going to win the fight, honestly.
And I am that convinced too, Roland, but you just kind of don't want to do it because you know that you missed the 155. But I feel like Thompson by decision at plus 155.
Yeah, because he's not known to get guys out of there. He's a decision fighter.
And it's only 3 rounds also.
Yeah.
So Justin was talking about past the victory. I really like Stephen Thompson in this fight, bro. I really do. I think the matchup, the length, he's going to be on his bike. They're now to the bigger octagon because they're in the huge arena. It's not the Apex on his anymore. So more room for Stephen Thompson to ride his bike around there, kickbox his way to a decision, 30-27 unanimous Stephen Thompson decision. Kim Burns get down. Who's gotten Stephen Thompson down? I think Woodley did.
He has very good takedown defense
in one of them, but nobody's gotten Stephen Thompson down. His only loss was that one Superman hook that Pettis threw to him, and that's because he was dominating Pettis. Yeah, so I really like Stephen Thompson in this fight.
He lost to Till by decision. In England. Yeah.
Oh, but that was that bullshit.
In England, it was in England. It
was at the O2 Arena, correct. Yeah. So I really like Wonderboy here, man. I really like Wonderboy. I think stylistically it's a bad matchup. Burns is a shorter guy. Wonderboy is big. He stands tall in that karate stance. And Burns isn't a guy known for throwing those leg kicks, which would mess with guys in the karate stance. I really, really like Wonderboy here. It's knockout or submission or bust for Burns, and with how strategically and safely Wonderboy fights, I don't see it happening, man. I don't see Gilbert Burns outsmarting Stephen Thompson in the octagon. I don't see it. So I really like that, and it sucks that the line moved because I didn't know that had happened. But let's get to the main event now. So for the main event, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor 3, the rubber match.
The trilogy.
Yeah, the trilogy, the rubber match as well. But 1-1, winner take all right here. And this time the line is reversed. Dustin Poirier comes out as a favorite.
Hot sauce versus whiskey.
It's hot sauce versus whiskey. Hell yeah. Give me a picoso. But Poirier at minus 140, and the line's gone up as well. It seems like Poirier money's come in. Conor McGregor at plus 110. Over under 1.5 rounds, and over 1.5 is juiced at minus 185. So guys, I'm just gonna kind of paint this out for you just in all the ways that we can talk about it. So we can talk about just the camps. We'll start just with the gyms. We've seen them both fight, a long time ago, and then we saw them fight several months ago. Dustin Poirier is at ATT. Conor McGregor's at Justin, help me with the name of his gym. It's that small.
Straight Blast
Paradigm.
Class, SPG or whatever.
SPG Dublin.
SPG fighting out of like some Paradigm gym or whatever. Never mind.
He's fighting at a gym where he's the best fighter there. So and you got Poirier, you got the owner of ATT sponsoring every football player on the University of Miami's roster, $6,000 for the season.
On wrestling last night too.
Yeah. So
AEW. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
The owner of ATT has all the best stuff. And I'm not going to say Conor doesn't have the best equipment and everything to use, but as far as looks and training partners, man, I think that Conor McGregor's gym does him a disservice.
Either that or he has to go seek out people. And ATT, they have them all right there chilling in their gym.
Everybody. Yeah, he's getting rounds with Masvidal on the stand-up. Like, there's a lot of slick people that he can get work in there. And we've talked about how training at gyms where you're not the best fighter there necessarily is the best thing for people. We said that's when we saw the Valley's own Carlos Diego. Whenever he went and took it up to Dallas, with Fortis MMA and those guys, we saw the bigger jump in his career because you're no longer, the dominant guy in your gym. So that's one thing that I think's held Conor back. His game hasn't evolved. That's another thing. I mean, with Conor, you're getting the stand-up. Poirier, yes, he did get a takedown, and Conor got right up in the first fight, but I think he just got the takedown to show him, hey, I can get it. Give me Poirier in the clinch. Give me Poirier in the wrestling. Give me Poirier in the grappling. Everything favors Poirier here in this fight, man, and it's the third time. Like, Poirier felt that left hand. The left hand cracked Poirier. He felt it.
It got him wobbly.
But it didn't drop him. We saw it.
No. But he was a little taken back by it.
And guys, Conor McGregor at 155 has won one fight. He's won one fight at that weight class. He beat Eddie Alvarez one time there. Has Conor McGregor's power translated up from the 145-pound division where his left hand would knock everybody out, and we heard about this Conor timing? Or is Poirier's a big guy, man.
You can't get everybody out with one shot. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
And that's what he's got, Roland. What do you think? What do you think for the third time?
For the third time, it's just one of those things with Conor. Like, Poirier has to go out there in order for Conor to win. In my opinion, I'm on Poirier. I don't know if I'll bet the fight just because I think you never know what's going to happen. But the reason why I'm saying that is the only way that Conor wins this fight, in my opinion, is if Poirier falls under like the mystique of Conor McGregor and goes out there with a deer in the headlights. Kind of like what the most recent example of that I can bring up is when what's the dude from New Zealand, Hooker, when he went out there and didn't know what to do, he froze against Chandler and let Chandler knock him out. That's the only way that Conor's going to win that fight, is if Poirier goes out there and he looks scared. But I don't think he's scared.
After knocking the guy out.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying that's the only way it's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen.
And Roland,
Poirier's better in every facet of the game at this point in their career than Conor McGregor, even striking.
What's stopping you? What's stopping you from picking a side and putting
betting it and like putting money on it? It's just because it's like I said, you never know what's going to happen. What if Poirier does go out there and he's like super overconfident and he gets caught or something like that, or he goes out there and it's like deer in a headlight situation? Whenever that's like in play, I don't like to like typically bet too much. I might talk myself into taking it later on, but like right now I'm just on the cautious side. But I do see Poirier winning this fight.
Yeah, and I've seen in the comments that Conor hasn't evolved. Justin, do you think that Conor's game has evolved since he went on that run, prior to getting rich off the Floyd fight and all of that?
It's hard to say because he doesn't try to use any of that game. So it's not like we can judge it and say
he doesn't have it.
Yeah, you can say that, but we don't know because we haven't seen it.
Well,
so
you
I
don't
can't
go
really
to
speak
it
on that.
you would think if you have it, you go to it because it's going to help you
or
win.
you go to what you know and what you really like and what you're comfortable with. I can't say that, Ben. I don't know if it hasn't or has. But what I do know is the path to victories, Conor doesn't have it. It's all Poirier. The only thing he has over Poirier is the stand-up. And even then, it's not that much better than Poirier's. So
yeah, it's marginal.
He can't crack him early, and Poirier hits those leg kicks, takes him down, tires him out, because Conor doesn't last those rounds like that either. It's Poirier all day.
Is there
I hate to say that because I like Conor.
But what is that though? Conor never got over that. He never got over the getting gassed out. Like I feel like every fight that I've seen him since, like the Aldo fight, really, once you go past the first or second round, or once he gets cracked one time, it's like his legs completely go and he goes into
what I think it is, Roland.
You can't recover.
You bring up a good point. Is for cardio, he likes to bike instead of just get on his feet and run it the way a traditional MMA and boxers do. And he doesn't do that.
That's a good point. I've never thought about that. The McGregor fast system is probably holding him back.
I don't think that McGregor's stand-up is that much better than Poirier's, honestly, just because.
Not much better.
I really think
Poirier might be better at this point.
I'll give Conor the quickness and maybe the movement, but that has to happen in the first two rounds, because after getting punched and moving for 10 minutes like that, you're not going to be on your P's and Q's if you're getting touched up. And he is going to get touched. Now, is there an adjustment for the calf kick? The calf kick that supposedly, turned off Conor's lead leg and had him cornered up against the fence to where Poirier was able to unload on him. Is there an adjustment with his stance? He's got a very, front leg heavy stance, kind of karate stance to shoot that straight left hand. What's the adjustment? Catching it, switching your stance? What does he do?
It'd have to be switching the stance.
Has to be checking it.
And checking it, but you can't come out in that stance so strong on the front leg because it's just an open target. When you're that strong on your front leg, you're an open target, and it becomes really hard to check. Because he even tried checking that fight or checking the kick in the first fight, and it was just too much of a good target that Poirier got it.
It's because he's never checked kicks either, Roland. Like if you're not used to doing that, like and if he has been checking kicks and he's been taking a beating to his legs this fight camp. But I agree with you, Justin. That's what it's going to take. But after making, like, I could see a young, hungry Conor checking those fucking kicks, but a made man Conor, like, if you eat those left hands for the first 10 minutes, I could just see him kind of dwindling away and eventually giving his neck to Poirier. I got Poirier by submission this time. I'll say Poirier in the 3rd or 4th round by rear naked choke or guillotine. Honestly, I think.
And the underlying theme behind all of this, I think, for the fight, and they're bringing it up in the comments right now, is what's Conor's future after this? You know, like
the Diaz trilogy, bro.
Well, yeah, but even at that point, like what's the Conor aura anymore? If he's lost so many fights in a row and he's gotten taken out so many times, like
we say that, but they're still here, Roland.
I know.
Here's the thing, Roland. We saw Nate Diaz lose and leave better than left.
Because he loses valiantly, bro. He doesn't lose.
So if Conor comes out and fights a war, but loses in the war, but does goes to battle,
it would have to be a war.
He's not going to lose his aura.
It has to be a war. It can't be.
I don't think he'll ever lose his aura.
Giving the neck.
Based off how he talks, I don't think that he'll lose his aura. But I mean, as far as fighting, I think the difference is, like, people respect the way the Diaz brothers go out. Like, they don't go out by getting knocked out or by giving up their necks and tapping. Like, they go out losing a decision, and like you see, they get better later on in the fight. So they leave people thinking, if there was one more round, this dude would have won, because they fight better in the later rounds. Conor's more of a front runner, where if he doesn't get it done early, his back is definitely against the wall. We did see him win that one decision against Diaz, and it was a war, and he did have to dig deep. But if we think about it, Poirier's dug deep against Eddie Alvarez. Poirier's dug deep against Dustin Gaethje. Poirier went 5 rounds with Max Holloway and dug deep. Poirier's been in those dogfights, man.
Yeah, Poirier's about that life for sure. But I think another point was brought up in the comments that I want to get into. On the positive side of this, both guys, title fight, if they win, Poirier wins for sure, is getting a title fight. Conor, if he wins title fight.
Some people have said they don't know if Oliveira is that big of a name for Conor to fight him. I don't know if that's where we are right now.
But they want to have that belt around Conor's waist.
That's what but like, Oliveira is going to take him down. So that's like the worst stylistic matchup for Conor in the division and the least known guy in the division. The last point on this that I was going to make, it's barely Thursday. I expect Conor to maybe close as a favorite, bro. You know that his fans travel hard. And they're going to fly in on the weekend after weigh-ins. You're going to see everybody running to the window and putting in those Conor tickets. So I think that if you like Poirier, the best thing is to wait till fight day and get him where it's like minus 110.
Tomorrow's going to be fun.
Tomorrow that weigh-in should be really fun.
Yeah.
That weigh-in should be.
The lines have been moving since it came out as well. And I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with the embeddeds, but we haven't even seen Conor on one of the.
No, well, he's refusing to do media and all that shit. And some people say, "Oh, he's finally taking it serious," or maybe he's just embarrassed that he got put on his ass last time, bro.
Oh, he's doing media. He has an interview coming out with Helwani and Stephen A.
Yeah, right, I saw a clip of the Helwani
So he's doing, the A-list media. Yeah. 2 guys. He's not doing what everybody does.
I guess if you want to say Stephen A's who's who.
He said he's a bad man without the fam. He said he's in that bad man mode right now because the family hasn't been with him during the training camp. So who knows what that means, but hopefully we get some fireworks in that fight. And anything else?
Hopefully some people win some money, man. Hopefully some people win some money picking winners. Stephen Thompson.
Ryan Hall is also on the undercard. He's an underdog.
Yeah, I don't like Ryan Hall.
Who's he fighting?
Justin, do you want to talk about that fight a little bit before we get to NBA?
He's fighting. I can't even say the guy's name, but it's like Ilia Topuria.
Yeah.
And that
what
guy
kind of fight are we looking at?
Oh, Ryan Hall stands up. So he's a featherweight, but he's like on a 5 or 6 fight win streak. He's coming in here as an underdog. He doesn't fight that often either.
He's fighting an undefeated
in 2019, and before that was 2016.
People don't like
So-
fighting him, Roland. He has a very weird fight style. He's trained by Kenny Florian. He like flops to his back. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, a knee bar guy, who like does some striking, but if he gets punched, like instead of ducking and dodging, he'll just fall to his back to dodge the punch.
Oh, okay, I feel you.
And then get up. So it could be kind of nails against the wall to watch.
Okay.
But-
well, you said Hall's on a 5-fight streak. You said something like that, right, Justin?
Right, but he's fighting an undefeated opponent.
Nice. Well, I'm bringing up the 5 fights because just one more time before we move on from the UFC, you're gonna need a 5-fight streak to win this $200 free play with BetKing. So remember, guys, there's a pick'em contest. You pick all 5 fighters correctly, and then on the main card of UFC 264, including the method of victory. For the main event, and you'll get yourselves $200 of free play if you have a BetKing account. You have to have an account to play, and also remember this weekend there is a code that you can enter, and that's Wtbs if you're going to deposit and don't have an account and want to get in on this contest.
And where can people send their picks to? Twitter, Facebook?
Twitter, Facebook. Diego, who runs the accounts on Twitter, he's here in the comments. So if he doesn't mind just commenting where else you can put the comments on there.
Yeah, or
but it's at
predictions,
BetKing Online.
or the We Talking About Sports Twitter, or you could just put it in the comments section of one of our posts or this live.
Or even this live,
yeah. But that wraps up UFC, man. I hope everybody. Where are y'all watching the fights?
Here at the house.
At the house, Roland?
Probably at the house too.
Okay, yeah. We'll be out of town. Hopefully, we're going to be barbecuing wherever we're at. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Should be a pretty badass card. But that gets us over to NBA. Roland, you want to take over or what?
Well, that's it for me, guys. I got to get back to what I was doing, but y'all have
Justin's
a good one.
got more important things to tend to. See you later, Justin.
Laters,
bro. All right. Well, that was MMA, UFC. Wanted to go to UFC heavy this podcast because it is UFC 264. You got the trilogy with Conor and Poirier, which we just got done talking about. But the other big sports topic right now is the NBA Finals. Ben, you guys were on here on Tuesday doing a little preview of Game 1, and everybody on the pod that day was on the Suns. What do you like? What do you like about what you saw in that Game 1?
Yeah, man, it was a Suns love fest in here on Tuesday for the game, and thank God, because the Suns pretty much dominated that Game 1. They seemed to be in control. Yeah, they seemed to be in control for most of the game, and our boy point guard Chris Paul had himself one of those games, man. He balled out. The Suns are at home
points,
again.
9 assists.
Yeah, no, he's been balling. And you mentioned the 32 points, and we'll get to it later, but we're going to talk about some props that we like for tonight's game. But yeah, man, the Suns looked really good. The line comes out today exactly the same as it was for Game 1. Suns -5. Nothing's changed. I thought Giannis looked decent for the Bucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think about Giannis deciding to strap it in or strap him up and play at the last moment?
It's Game 1 of the finals. We know how the expectations have been for Giannis to get the Bucks to the finals. I was very surprised that he did strap him up, like you said, for a Game 1, but it's the finals, man. Like, you can't be punting games in the finals. That's not the time to be doing that. And the Bucks went out there, gave it their best shot. He played decently. He had 18, 19 rebounds, 20-some points. So I expect him to have a better game today, and they're going to need him to have a better game if they're going to keep it close.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a better game. He filled the stat sheet. He didn't get over 20 points or anything crazy like that, but he filled in everywhere as he usually does. But, I thought the Suns, they took control early. It was a competitive first quarter, but after that, they kind of sunk in and took over the game. I like what I saw out of Phoenix. I don't think Milwaukee's out of this. I think they're maybe an adjustment or two away. You got to find a way to neutralize DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton terrorized them on the boards. He had 18 or 19 boards last game to go along with 22 points. He had 19 rebounds and 22 points last game. Complete problem. No real answer for Ayton from the Bucks right now. I mean, Cousins is Brook Lopez and Giannis, but Giannis threw around DeAndre Ayton like a little rag doll in that first quarter, which was surprising. Kind of let you know that Giannis is good to go. But as it's always been with the Bucks, it's going to come down to their supporting cast, because you saw the big three for the Suns. They all contributed. 32 points from Chris Paul. Booker pitched in with 27, 28. DeAndre Ayton got his 22 and 19. So when you're getting that from your big three, the other big three needs to match it. Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday.
Holiday had a horrible game, bro.
So yeah, I want to see the big three from the Bucks play better. I think they are going to play better. I think the big takeaway that I took from it was the Bucks are a pretty good defensive team, and they let the Suns get to their spot every single time. When you let Chris Paul run the pick and roll at will in the game, it's not going to be good for you. And you let him go to his right hand constantly, it's never going to end well. You got to force him to his offhand. You can't let him get to his key spots. And the Suns were just doing that way too easily last game. So I think they're gonna double team Chris Paul. They're gonna blitz the pick and roll. I mean, that's really the main adjustment that I see for them is how they play the pick and roll. You can't sit back and play like a flat coverage. Like you can't just sit back and let them come at you and go under the screen.
They can't have him with Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez on him.
No. Yeah, exactly. You got to blitz it. That way the guy who's going over has a chance to stay with him. You have to do that at least on Chris Paul and Devin Booker throughout the game. You can't let the switch happen. I'm sorry. Because they're going to get sauced every time. Lopez and Portis, they're getting pick and roll. They're getting picked on out there. So yeah.
What adjustment do you see the Bucks doing? Do you see maybe less Brook Lopez minutes?
Less Brook Lopez minutes, but the problem with that is he stretches out your floor as the five.
Bobby Portis can hit a bit.
Yeah, but the way that Lopez has been shooting it, I'd want to keep him on the floor. But my big adjustment is blitzing the pick and roll. You have to do that. You can't sit back. So you got to try and at least on, like I said, on CP3 and Booker, because CP3 is going to have another 32 and 10 or 32 and 8, whatever he had, if you let him do that. And you got to get better contributions from the other two guys on the team. Middleton pitched in. He had his 29, but Drew Holiday was slacking with 10. So you can't do that.
But his field goal percentage, Roland, didn't he shoot like 15 times? Wasn't he like 3 or 4 for 15 or something like that?
Who,
Drew Holiday? I mean, he had a horrible game.
Let me see what his stat line was exactly.
Marky's in the comments.
He's 4 for 14. 4 for 14.
That's terrible. Marky's in the comments saying, can't blitz him, too many shooters on the court for the Suns. I think that you deal with the shooters instead of Chris Paul or Booker, though. Like, that's what Roland's saying. You kind of just make the other guys beat you. Not necessarily a wide open shot, because you're blitzing the guy getting the screen for with the defender of the man screening him and that guy's defender, right? So somebody's not necessarily open. It's going to be the guy rolling on the pick to make that decision. And if it's Ayton and Ayton's going and playing 4-on-3 with the ball in his hands, that's kind of what you want to live with. Yeah, exactly. So I agree with the blitzing.
Yeah, I think the key is just getting the ball out of their hands and just not letting them get to their spot. So I'm interested in the matchups today. I'm interested to see PJ Tucker, who he's going to be trying to put the clamps on, and Drew Holiday. They had
Middleton on Booker for the most part in game 1. And I know that the Suns were getting help by putting Chris Paul on PJ Tucker, which I thought, helps Chris Paul a lot defensively if all he has to do is, kind of guard the corner and PJ Tucker. So like you said, does PJ Tucker start off on Booker this game?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's a good plan because we saw Beverly have a little bit of success on Booker, just getting up in his face, and that's a lot of what Tucker does, just mucking the game up. Not necessarily like playing shutdown defense. You know, Booker's one of those guys that's gonna find a way to get his 20 points, but what you want to do is make that like an inefficient 20 points, right? You want to make him take 25 shots to get there and take him out of his rhythm, and I think Tucker has to be on Booker. That's another adjustment. Middleton. He matches up with him height wise, but he's not known as being a super good defender. I'll give him his props. He probably does have his stripes as a defender, but finals, you got to put your best guy on the other best guy. So you got to go.
And we saw PJ Tucker do a pretty good job of at least being in Kevin Durant's face every time Kevin Durant was going to shoot, which you kind of said is just like getting into the defender and just not making it comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
KD's going to shoot over you every time, but it could be less comfortable sometimes than most, depending on the defense. And I also think it's a better idea to have Tucker on Booker because you need Middleton on offense, man. And if he's chasing Booker around and getting screened all game to get Middleton off of him and Booker a free look, he's not going to be fresh enough at the end of the game to close for you because we know he is the Bucks closer when they need a bucket.
And props to Middleton this postseason. He's held his own. Especially with the injury to Giannis, he went ahead and led the way and closed out Atlanta. But I'm just saying that because Chris Middleton is often talked about as a guy. If you don't know whether or not he's good enough to be a true number 2 on a championship team, but his team's 4 wins away from getting there. So props to Middleton. But the other thing too, it might not sound so serious, but it's free throws still. Also, 26. The 25 of 26 for the Suns, 9 of 16 for the Bucks. In these games, that stuff matters. But I don't see that changing because the Bucks, Giannis is getting to the free throw line.
Free throws though for the Suns again. That's kind of a lot.
I don't think so because usually you see the opposite effect take place in the next game, especially when it's been talked about. They've gotten to the free throw line so many times. So usually the refs the next game are a little bit wary about that. So maybe they'll hold the whistle more, or they'll give the Bucks a little bit more time at the free throw line. Because I do think referees do get affected by that in terms of having people talk about their calls and how tight they were with the whistle and stuff like that. So, but that game 1 though, I thought it was in the books for the Phoenix Suns. I didn't see how the Bucks were going to win that game unless it was like a perfect performance. I understand both teams don't really have too much finals experience. I think Jay Crowder's the only one with experience prior to this finals, having been in the finals last year with the Heat. But a lot of guys, first time in the finals, the home team waiting with a full crowd. I just didn't see any way the Bucks were going to win that game. And like you guys said on the podcast, y'all were all over the Suns that day. We got super lucky if you guys took our daily wager that day on that Torrey Craig, man, that first quarter bet, -2. One of the crazier way to win a bet. Usually those tip-ins are losing your bet because you're on the opposite side of those. But that tip-in, the Suns were up by 2. Our bet was first quarter -2, and Torrey Craig tipped it in with like a second left. Man, that was awesome. But yeah, the Suns
actually played pretty big in that game 1, and he's
Torrey Craig has experience. He was a key addition. They brought him over from the Nuggets, right?
Yeah, they brought him from the Nuggets. Yeah,
the Nuggets. Yeah, so I like that.
He gets busy defensively, and he's a taller guy. He can rebound. He does it all. I mean, we saw him with that offensive putback to, like you said, you had that daily wager, and he cashed it for you. And that's the guy you least expect, Torrey Craig.
Did you guys give out any bets on the pod that day?
Ron had given out the over, and we were talking about the Suns kind of just rolling in the Suns first half. I know Alex was in the comments talking about Suns first quarter. So everybody, it was pretty much consensus from everybody. Everybody liked the Suns. Yeah, we found out Giannis was going to play maybe like 15 minutes into the podcast. So we had already kind of started our breakdown, and everything was without Giannis, and then boom, Giannis is in. So
that was the crazy thing too, is Giannis playing, but the lines really didn't move too much. I think Vegas was a little, or bettors were a little concerned about what version of Giannis you were going to get. I was a little worried when I saw him swat I forgot who it was on the backboard that I already
chase
saw
down?
the chase down block. I already saw the headline on Undisputed the next day. I was like, Skip Bayless on why Giannis's block was better than LeBron's in the finals. I guess I already saw that happening before my eyes, but thankfully we didn't have to hear that. But getting into game 2, just to set it up, the Bucks have lost their last 3 game 1s. They swept the Heat 4-0, but every series after that, they've lost the first game 1, and I think they've responded in each of those. Yep. They are on the road.
But they've been at home as well for those game 1s.
They've been at home for those game 2s to get the victory back on the other end. What do you like in game 2? Do you like the Suns still, or are you shipping over to the Bucks for game 2?
No, I like the Suns to win. I like the Suns to hold home court. I do think that it's going to be a more competitive game just because I don't see the 26 free throws coming again for the Suns. And I think that I really think that they're going to play a lot less of Brook Lopez, man, just because they were eating him up and maybe come on with Connaughton.
They were seeking him out on the pick and roll.
Well, yeah, and as they should. And when you have Chris Paul on your team, it's going to happen, bro. You're not going to waste a possession not going at the mismatch. That's something that Chris Paul does. That's something LeBron does. The high IQ guys attack the matchup every single time because in the playoffs and much less the finals, every possession is valuable, bro. Yep. Every possession is so valuable. So those buckets, I really think they're going to force Lopez off and bring Connaughton in, and Connaughton at the 4 and move Bobby Portis to the 5 or Giannis at the 5. I think that they're going to be a little bit more competitive today. I still like the Suns to win, but today I was looking more at props. I like the prop a lot on CP3 today.
Nice little preview for our next section. I like that. But I'm going to be on the opposite side here. I like the Bucks. I think they're gonna win the game. I think they're a good bounce back team. I'm a Suns guy. I like Chris Paul. I think he's gonna get his championship. Don't get me wrong. I think he's gonna get it. But the Bucks are a good bounce back team. They're gonna play better defensively. They have a couple of adjustments that they can make, as we've already talked about. You saying them going small, and then us also talking about them moving around some matchups, like putting Tucker on Booker instead of Middleton, and making the game a little bit more rough on Booker.
Maybe Drew Holiday just manning up on CP3.
Yeah, and then Drew Holiday manning up and actually playing like the third player in the big 3. Right. And then I also think that we're going to get an MVP-like game from Giannis today. I think Giannis went out and he showed that he was pretty healthy. I think he proved it on a couple of occasions, like we talked about with the SWAT and then him throwing around Aiden on that play. I think we're going to get some more points from Giannis, and that's also kind of foreshadowing where I'm going with the prop too. But I do like the Bucks in this game, and Marky likes the Bucks first half. I like that bet too. If you think that the Bucks are going to come out strong and maybe waver and don't want to take them for the full game, the first half is a good look too. But I like the Bucks. I think we're going to get a stronger game from Giannis, and as Ben just said, I don't think Holiday is going to score 10 points again. I think he's going to get closer to 20 points. I think his points prop was at like 21.5, and it was juiced to the over. So
back down to 19 now.
Okay, 19. So I think people
game 1 was 21.5.
There you go. So people are looking for Holiday to have a good game, and I think he's going to have a better game. But that's where I'm at for game 2. I like the Bucks. I think it's going to be a close, contested game. I think it's probably going to be one of the better games of the series because you don't want to go down 2-0. To the Suns, the way that they're playing, and the
Suns would just be holding home court. It's not. I mean, it's not the worst thing, but you always want to take one on the road.
Yeah, you want to take one on the road, especially in the finals. But I was just going to get into giving James Jones some more props because I'm just thinking about the Suns roster. They're well constructed, man. Like we haven't even talked about Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne being big pieces. I think Cam Johnson pitched in with a quiet 12, but they got a bunch of guys that can go and give you 10, 15 points at any time. They got a bunch of guys. If one of them isn't working one game, they'll go ahead and bring in somebody else. Super deep team, especially for today's NBA. So I just got to give them props for the way that they've constructed the team.
And even with Dario Saric going out with the torn ACL, we know that he's the backup center, so he comes in and backs up Ayton. Ayton might be playing a little. Kaminsky played 2 minutes. Now he might play 5. Yeah. He might not get that much of a bump, but it just goes for the Ayton props. Maybe Ayton's going to get more minutes. He'll be out there. He doesn't seem like a guy that fouls. He's never really in foul trouble. So he's been playing 30-plus minutes. I think that helps Ayton props a lot.
I like his points rebound props.
And I mean, we saw 22 and 19 or 22 and 18 game from him last time. So let's get he's going to do that again.
Yes, let's get into it though, because that's the next thing we're talking about. What's your favorite prop for tonight, or your favorite play?
The one that I like most is, and I was surprised to see Chris Paul's points was at 20.5. Now we talked about the 30-point performance from him in game 1. We know what he did in the closeout game against the Clippers with the 40-point performance. Chris Paul seems to be in that zone. He seems to be in that mode. He seems to know that this is his last chance.
He smells the blood.
This is it, Roland. There's no tomorrow. I mean, he could go sign maybe a deal with a contender because he's a free agent. But if he wants some cred and if he wants a Finals MVP, Chris Paul's got to put on, and he's been putting on. Chris Paul's a guy who's going to get you points at the free throw line because anytime the other team's in the bonus, he's going to go get those tacky fouls just to put him on the line and get 2 free points. Chris Paul points at 20.5, I think, is a steal. I don't see how he doesn't get you 20-plus points. He's been on fire. He's going to get the playing time. It's the finals. He's been playing 34-plus minutes, so the opportunity is going to be there. He just can't have one of those horrible games.
I think he's going to get there. I like that bet a lot. I will say, relative to where we've seen his point total throughout the playoffs, the 20 is a little high. I think we've seen it in the teens for most of it. But I will say the way that he's been scoring at the rate that he's been scoring, I do think that that's a steal for what you're getting with that 20.5. And especially with a guy that's going to have the ball, and his usage rate is really high.
They need him in the finals, bro. They need it's
and he knows it. And he knows it. So Ben's giving us Chris Paul over 20.5 points. That's a point prop. Ben, are you looking at putting 1 to 2 units on this? What are you thinking about?
Just regular. I'm just going to take it regular. Unit? Yeah, and because I'm just going to take it regular just because with the point props. So sometimes you never know whether it be fouls or whatever it may be, that freak shit, but nothing crazy.
Okay. All right. Well, mine's going to be on the other team. I gave this out as a daily wager, but I'll post it on here too. It's the Giannis over 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists prop. So this takes into account how many points are scored, how many rebounds Giannis gets, and how many assists he gets throughout the game. So I'm taking it over 42.5. A little background on this. This prop is usually, and it's a little bit of a buy low situation. It's kind of how I want to break it down, because this prop is usually in the 50s. I haven't seen this prop this low in a while.
All playoffs.
And throughout the playoffs, it's usually been listed around 50.5 to like 52.5. The way that Giannis has been playing, and he came and played on a bum knee pretty much in game 1. I'm expecting him to be healthier in game 2, so that goes into this bet also. In game 1, he gave us 41 points, rebounds, and assists. That's 20 points, 17 rebounds, and 4 assists. So that's 41 right there. You don't think he's going to get 17 assists again, but I think he's going to score more than 20 points. He's usually a 30-point scorer. Yeah. He's going to get his 10 to 12 rebounds, and then he's going to pitch in with a couple assists.
And if they do what I say and maybe less Brook Lopez, that's
more rebounds
Giannis at the 5, more rebounds for him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another 17, 18 rebound game from Giannis. This is the finals. That's a back-to-back MVP. He's got to put it all out there. His knee doesn't look that hurt, bro.
No, and I think he played it a little cautiously game 1, but he still looked healthy. He still looked pretty good for as cautious as he played it. But again, like I said, this is more of a buy low situation here. You usually see this prop in the 50s, so I'm going to take Giannis over 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And for anybody who can't get that line, I would recommend you take it up to over 43.5. I would take it even a full point more because, like I said, I'm that confident in Giannis upping his point total and staying at a close to 10 to 12 rebounds. So Giannis over 42.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Ben, did you have another bet you wanted to put on there? And this is one unit.
Just rolling in game one, Giannis had 20 points, 17 rebounds. That's 37, and the 4 assists. So 41. Yeah. He was right there, and that was his first game back with that knee injury.
So I like this a lot. 1 unit, shoot, if you wanted to put 2, but I'm not going to recommend that because what I personally wagered was 1 unit. So that's all I'm going to recommend on here. But I will go 1 unit, and anything up to 43.5 points, I think you're fine.
One other one that I saw when I was looking over the props was Devin Booker's rebounds was at 5.5. And that's come under in the last 5. Well, since he broke his nose, he hasn't had 6 rebounds. So it kind of does make sense too. Devin Booker has a broken nose. Now the mask is off. He's no longer wearing the mask. Why do you want Devin Booker in there battling for rebounds? The Bucks are the best rebounding team in the NBA. You got DeAndre Ayton swallowing up 19 rebounds himself. Devin Booker's rebound number was at 5.5. He hasn't been seeking rebounds since the nose injury. He doesn't want to get in there with the bigs, take an incidental elbow, whatever it may be. They need Devin Booker for playmaking and shot making. So I like Devin Booker under 5.5 was another prop on rebounds that I liked.
Okay.
Game one, he had 2 rebounds.
2 rebounds. Yeah, he's not in there fighting for it. I think he's played a little. I mean, on the offensive end, he hasn't been afraid to get in there and drive in and stuff like that because he knows what he's got to do. But on defense, he is playing it a little passive, and I don't think he's getting in there in the paint. I like that. Another one that we talked about, and this is another one that I've already bet, and I put 1 unit on it, is DeAndre Ayton points and rebounds over 30. Over 30. Yeah, right now it's set at 30. The last 4 games, his rebounds have been 22, 11, 17, and 19. And he scored in double digits in all of those games, 19 and 22, 10 and 11. Rebounds over 30 is another bet that I'll be looking to put in.
And he's been real consistent throughout the whole playoffs. So, I mean, I like that look. The numbers
it's just the points. It's just the points that you have to worry about with Aiden because he can get iced out of the game depending on how it's going.
Yeah, I know you had a game in the Western Conference Finals where you said Booker or Chris Paul just wouldn't pass him the ball in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it looked bad at times, but I like that. As long as he can get at least 15, 16 points, something like that, the rebounds are going to be there because he's not getting much backlash or much competition from the Bucks on rebounds, in my opinion.
Do you have any feel for the total, Roland, at all? I know on the last episode, Roland was on here giving the over, but that's because we didn't think Giannis was going to play, so we thought the Bucks would be more moving the ball and not so much stalling with Giannis, trying to get in the little bag that he does have at the free throw line. But the number was 219.5. Now it's 221 for game 2. Do you think that as the series goes on, the teams will adjust defensively and kind of start getting into each other, or do you see the series with a lot of points being scored?
I think we're gonna see points scored. I think we're gonna see more defense. When we get back to Milwaukee, we got to also think that both of these teams. As much as we want to talk about defensive adjustments and what can happen, I think the defensive adjustments are really made to just, slow them down. I don't think it's necessarily to stop anything. It's just to make things a little bit harder. And that's kind of where I'm thinking that this game's going to go over because I think we're going to get a better offensive performance from the Bucks. I did mention that I think the Bucks are going to make it a little bit harder on Booker and CP3 on defense, which I still think is going to happen. But I also just think that we're in a league now where the offensive players, they just know how to get a bucket at all times, no matter how good the defense is. So I do think we're going to see an over in this game, because I'm expecting a better offensive performance from the Bucks. I don't usually bet the totals because a lot of stuff can happen in the NBA with the totals. But yeah, I see the over in this game.
Okay, that's cool. I kind of come in on the other side a little bit. I just feel like game one was the feeling out process, and game two is, where you kind of go to what worked the most and what gives you the best chance. So I see it maybe slowing down a little bit this game. But the over did go up from 219.5 the first game to 221. So obviously they see a little bit more points as well. I just tend to think that, this game is a little more strategically with, the main players doing the heavy lifting. So we'll see how it plays out. What do you got anything else for that?
Well, yeah, just one more thing, kind of just on a lighter note, is Suns and 4 guy has had like the greatest blow up of all time. Honestly, I saw him taking a picture at an event that he was hosting. He was hosting an event. He took a picture with Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray is important to this because Jamal Murray is the player of the guy that got beat up. He's the jersey that the dude who got beat up in that fight was wearing. He was wearing a Jamal Murray navy blue jersey, and the dude with the Suns jersey was wearing, I think, like a Charles Barkley jersey or Steve Nash.
Yes, Steve Nash. He hasn't changed out of that fucking jersey, man.
Shoot, I wouldn't change either. I mean, he's an icon now. People know him as the Suns and 4 guy. He's a phrase. I hope he is making some money off of that phrase every time the Suns use it. But he's had one of the greater blowups in recent social media history.
Finishes though, Roland. Do we forget about the Suns and 4 guy, or is the Suns and 4 guy in the parade? Is he in the parade?
Shoot. He's probably in the parade if they win. He's holding the trophy in the parade if they sweep. If they go 4 games and they sweep the Bucks in this series and they win 4-0, he's holding the trophy. He's getting the trophy. He's taking it home with him. Yeah, man. Suns and 4 guy might be in the running for Finals MVP. Oh, speaking of, I guess that would be the last thing that I want to ask is after game 1, CP3 Finals MVP front runner.
And the odds adjusted, and CP3 is a minus 180 favorite for the MVP now. Devin Booker comes back at like plus 145, plus 150. So that my points prop over 20.5. I mean, I see CP3. He sees the light at the end of the tunnel. 3 more wins, man. Take care of business at home. CP3, 28, 12, and 6 tonight. Suns by 4, just so they can cover it. I mean, I know you have the Bucks winning, but I do see it being a little closer. I still got the Suns winning.
And you got them covering? The line has shrinked to 4.5.
Damn it, boy. I think I just said Suns by 4, so I think I would go with the Bucks covering, but I have the Suns winning.
You'd rather take the Suns in a parlay in the Monday.
Yeah, winning. Yeah, okay. Suns and Wonderboy.
See, there you go. That's another bet given out.
Wonderboy, right? I won't stop saying Wonderboy.
I don't know if the people can get that in on time. I think we're right at tip-off at 8:01, and we're almost wrapping up the pod, guys. Have you been here with us since the beginning? Thanks. We're getting here to the hour and a half mark. And I'm just going to plug it one more time before Ben, just before I go into the next thing. Is that all you got for NBA? Is there anything
that's
else
all I got for NBA, man.
All right, well, that was a great NBA talk. We're going to be talking NBA almost every single game for the finals. We'll be trying to do something. But this next section, again, like I said, is being brought to you guys by BetKing Online. They are an online bookkeeper. You can go ahead and place your bets there. They have an online website that you can use to easily place your bets, and they have easy deposit and withdrawal process. This weekend, they are running a deposit promotion. Usually, they give you a 50% bonus, but this weekend, if you use the Wtbs code, you will get a 100% bonus on your deposit. That's a 100% bonus on your deposit. And if you've been listening, we've also been plugging that $200 free play competition for the UFC 264, where you pick all 5 winners, including the path of victory for the main event. So make sure to get in on all of that, and you have to have an account for that to enter that contest. So again, like I said, make sure to use that promo code so you can get 100% refund on your deposit, or 100% free play on your deposit. or match, however you want to look at it, using Wtbs. That stands for We Talking About Sports, because that's what we do here every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, this next section, this is by popular demand. I hope you guys are watching, the people who've been asking for this, but we're going to get into some soccer. These past couple of weeks, we've been blessed with some daytime soccer, with the Euros, some nightcaps with some late night Copa America. And we're getting more into the MLS season and things of that nature. But the big two I just mentioned were the Euros and the Copa America, both of which have their final sets. The Euros, I'm probably going to butcher. It's Italy versus England in the final. Yep. And Copa America, it's Brazil versus Argentina. It's
and I got the lines here too, Roland, for the Euro final Sunday. England PK -130, Italy PK even. The over-under's 2 on that. Okay. And then for the Copa America final on Saturday at 7, we got Brazil +114, Argentina +285, and the over-under also at 2 on that one.
Nice. So which one do you want to start with? I'll let you pick. Do you want to go with Euros or do you want to go with
I mean, the Euros is the bigger one, but the other one happens first. So we'll just go with Messi against Neymar, because I think more of the star power is in that
Messi
matchup.
versus Neymar. And big key here that we want to point out before we get started is Gabriel Jesus. He's out for this game. I know he's been in and out of the lineup, but he's one of their better strikers. So I think it's important to point that out. He got a 2-match ban. I don't know necessarily what it was for, but he's not playing in this championship match.
Yeah, and Roland, for the Copa America, this is pretty much the matchup that everybody saw coming when the teams and the draws were put out. Everybody saw Argentina and Brazil, meeting up eventually in the final, and it was kind of tough for Argentina. They had to get through penalties against Colombia. It did get scary, but we're here. Messi against Neymar. Aren't they former teammates? So former teammates playing against each other. A lot of people say this is Messi's last stab at, getting some sort of trophy with his country. He's seen a lot of La Liga success with Barcelona, but he's never gotten a trophy with Argentina playing internationally. So how do you see this going? They're a big dog. What do you think? Do you think first goal wins this? Do you think we'll see a lot of goals?
Man, I never really know what to expect with the Argentinian national team, because I think they're known for kind of having a suspect defense. But I'm gonna go with Argentina here, man. I think that the time for Messi is now to finally get his trophy with his country. I think a lot's been leading up to this. I don't think either team has been too impressive in this tournament, from what I've seen at least. I really just think they've out-talented their competition.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that Argentina was in that penalty shootout with Colombia, and Brazil wasn't very impressive in their victory over Peru, in my opinion. So neither team is in true form. So I would be looking at placing some bets for Argentina to win the game somehow, some way. But it's just mainly because I think Messi's going to get it done. He's playing some good soccer right now. 6 goals, 6 assists in the lead up. Neymar's right behind him with 5 and 5 himself. But I think it's going to be time for Messi to get it done. And at 215, it's a nice little return if they get it done.
Well, for them, they are the dogs, so you could get a little bit of +half. And if it does go to the penalty shootouts for Argentina, PK +half is at -105. So if they do tie after the 90 minutes, that is the cool thing about the Copa America. After the 90 minutes, if it's tied, it goes directly to penalty kicks, as to where Euro still plays that 30-minute, extra 30 minutes with a halftime and then goes to penalties. So like you, Roland, I mean, I've been a big Messi fan. I'm going to be rooting for Messi. I'm hoping for Argentina as well. I think it's pretty crazy that they're almost a 3-1 dog. Now, yes, Brazil does have more talent, but Argentina has the best player on the pitch. Messi is the best player, and he's shown a lot this tournament. He's hit a couple of crazy free kicks. So I'm pulling for Messi. I hope that he gets it. I think that this is his last go-around with Argentina. I hope he gets it. And Diego says, whenever Champions League starts, give me the mic for 5 minutes. Let me shit on PSG. Diego, we've had you on here. As long as you buy a mic or some headphones, we'll have you on, brother. All right, we will. But Roland, switching over to Euro Cup.
Well, hold on. I just wanted to say a couple of things for the other side real quick,
Okay.
and it won't take me long. I saw Diego's going to be on Brazil here. He's a big Neymar guy, but I just saw some comments right now that were made. Is that Messi's team? Because this game is being played at Maracanã Stadium in Brazil. It's being played in Brazil. And so they're saying Messi's team and his teammates have to be prepared to beat the Brazilian team, Neymar, VAR, and the referee. So he's saying that it's some radio guy. He's a former Paraguay goalkeeper. He's on the radio now down there in South America, and he said that they have to beat all of those guys in order to get it done. And it makes sense. Home cooking exists, I think, in some situations. And as we've seen, VAR is easily one of the most frustrating things that's ever been introduced to sports in the modern day, because one, it fixes an immediate problem. You need to have instant replay, like the whole thing that happened with France with Thierry Henry and the handball. And that's what started VAR. That's why people are like, okay, we might have to implement this, technology to be able to look at this stuff. But the way that it's been implemented, some of the decisions that they've made, easily the most frustrating thing. So I can see that playing a factor in this game.
And Roland, you never seem to be on the right side of VAR, right? Like that, it's rare, bro. They'll get you by a centimeter, Roland. Fucking VAR. Yeah,
and you can't celebrate a goal immediately. You almost have to score the goal and then just look to your left to see what the refs are going to decide to do and see what the outcome of the VAR is. So while, like I said, it fixes an immediate problem, it also has become the most frustrating thing in sports. Almost more frustrating than determining what's a catch in football. In my opinion, that's the other confusing thing. I always have to throw that in there. But let's get to the big one.
The big one, the Euro Cup. This one takes place Sunday at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock our time. And in Wembley, like you said, Brazil is playing this in their backyard. England has played most of this tournament in their backyard. Now, this one doesn't have the minus 0.5/PK. This is just straight PK. England minus 130, Italy even, over under 2. These have been the two best looking teams, I would say, for the most part of the Euro Cup. I would say, Belgium had their moments. France never looked good, hence why they got bounced so early. But these have been the two teams who most people have seen after group stages who said, for example, Diego said, I think I'm going to be rolling with Italy this tournament, guys, right after the group stages. So Italy has gotten a lot of fans. England, of course, is playing this in their backyard, and they were the favorites to win this whole tournament. How do you see it going, bro? Who's won you over? I know England has a couple of Manchester United players.
Yeah, but they really haven't been too involved. I like England, don't get me wrong, but I've been betting on Italy a lot throughout the Euros. I like the brand of football that they play. They're all pretty much from Serie A. They have a really nice brand of football. It's not the flashiest, but they are technically savvy. They play a very good defense. And they don't do anything to lose the game necessarily, right? They just they stay in the fight, and then they strike, because they do also have that technical class on the striking side with a few of their guys that have been making an impact. I like the way that they looked in the group stage. Diego did hop on them early, and after seeing some of their results, but they've won in pretty convincing fashion in most games, other than the semifinal against a penalty against Spain. But they beat Austria pretty easily. I thought they beat Belgium. I don't think that was anything they got lucky against Belgium or anything. I think that they beat them. Then on the other,
Belgium was a little banged up, but they got
they got them. But then on the other side, England really hasn't done too much to impress me. The only thing that I will say is that Harry Kane is heating up. And whenever you have a guy that's that prolific, at scoring the goal or netting, as you like to say in soccer. You have to be cautious of that. But I like the path that Italy has taken to get there versus England's. I think they're a little bit more battle tested, and England, they have all the pressure in the world right now. They have the weight of their country. Italy has the weight of their country too, but this might be the one instance where a home game might be a little scary for you.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, England and the English media and their fans are some of the most brutally honest and tough on their teams. Very, very, very tough on their teams. And the UK Daily or whatever it's called out there, that magazine, is not going to look pretty if they lose that match.
And we know that they're also a team that tends to come up short. They've had high expectations. Previous years, they've been ranked very highly. We know that they do have a team loaded with star EPL talent, which the EPL is considered, the most prestigious league out of all of the leagues. So they're loaded. They just need the players to perform and to play the right players. I mean, like you said, most of the Man U players haven't been involved. They have Rashford chilling on the bench. They have Sancho chilling on the bench. Like, they have the horses. It's just about them hitting form and performing under the bright lights. So I agree with you. They do have a lot of pressure, and that's what makes you kind of hesitant towards backing them. But if they're going to win one of these titles, it's got to be the one that's in their backyard and favors them the most.
It has to be this one.
It has to be this one. For that reason, I've liked Italy as well, but I think that they're running out of gas. Italy's it's a team made up of a lot of older players, a lot of guys in their mid to late 30s. And that last game, we did see them kind of run out of gas. Now, I know that it was Spain, and Spain was one of the higher ranked teams coming in. So they definitely have been more battle tested against Spain, but Spain underachieved for the most part of the tournament. They had players getting death threats and threats to their family, Morata, based on their performance. So Spain underperformed a lot. I'm gonna take the PK with England here, and I'm gonna say England just comes out on top. They don't have like a 2 advance or to hold the trophy up line yet, but you got to think that it might be like 15 or 20 cents more than the PK, just because some of these games have gone longer than 90 minutes. And if you do want to win in penalty, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. So I could see, like to raise the cup or whatever it may be, however it may be worded, like minus 145, minus 150. I think that England walks away with this one.
You think they walk away? Okay. I like that. I'm just for sake of being on the other side, I'm going to go with Italy. I do think the pressure is going to get to England, but England has all the pieces to get it done. Like, it's just almost one of those things where it almost might be inevitable for England to walk away with a victory because they have so many horses to go to. But I just think it's one of those things where, Italy's in better form. I think they've been playing better team soccer, and I think they're going to get it done. But that's not to say that England can't get it done on talent, because they surely have enough talent to break through a couple of times in a game against anybody in the world. But no, give me England. I'm not England. I'm sorry. Give me Italy. And it should be a good match, hopefully, on Sunday.
I wonder who Justin would have. Maybe we can get Justin. I think Justin's been rolling with England for the most part. He's a big EPL guy, so I think he's been rolling with England. But it should be a good game, man. It should be a really good game, and two teams that are going to play hard for it.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to this weekend. We're going to have La Copa America. We're going to have that Euro Championship. We're going to have the NBA Finals. We're going to have some baseball. I'm sure there's going to be some golf sprinkled in there somewhere. So
next week is the players.
I'm looking forward to this weekend, man. It's going to be good. Anything else, before we get off? We're here getting close to 2 hours. The game's already well into the first quarter.
Yeah, 7 minutes left in the first quarter, 14-9 Bucks. Giannis has about 6 or 8 points. He got off to a good start. But no, man, I got nothing else. I'm looking forward to getting into the football previews. I think as soon as the NBA Finals finish, we're going to turn the page over to that and start kind of getting into the divisions and maybe things that we like to play out throughout the season. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the divisions, and then like you said in the last podcast, we'll also get into those the position rankings. I definitely want to do the top fives again, and I want to bring in the ones that we had from last year and see if we have any guys like staying in the top five or anybody that we think is falling off of the top five. Which I mean, Drew Brees isn't even in the league anymore, and he was in my top five last year. So we'll get to talk about that. But
Watson might not even play, so he ain't gonna be. In the top five.
Yeah, Watson won't be in the top five by default, but not by play because he played pretty well last year, and I think solidified his talent. But anyways, I don't have anything else. I just want to start watching this finals game so we can see if these props hit that we gave out. I think we gave them out maybe like 20, 30 minutes before tips. So hopefully some of you guys that were in the comments got to look at those, and you guys have listened to the podcast. Again, we have it posted here. Promo code WTBS when you make a deposit with BetKing Online this weekend, you'll get 100% deposit bonus on whatever deposit you decide to make this weekend. So go ahead and put that in, and look out for the MMA contest also. You can win $200 free play with BetKing Online if you bet or if you correctly guess the 5 winners and the method of victory for the championship fight, the trilogy between McGregor and Poirier.
Main event. Yep.
Yeah. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks for logging on and being in the comments and stuff. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right, Roland. Peace, brother.
Laters.